Hi guys, this is Miss Anderson, and this is video number 2 for lesson number 1 in our writing workshop of proofreading, revising, and editing. So I am going to go ahead and jump in because what I am finding is that time is passing by very quickly, and I guess it's because we're having a lot of fun. So I am on page 27 or page 15 in the PDF, okay, page 15, and I am under the subheading of capitalization and punctuation, okay? So I am going to speed up my reading. I'm going to try to do a little less commentary so that we can get through the lesson as quickly as possible, okay? Remember, this is video number 2. If you have not watched video number 1, then please go back and watch it because it has a lot of information at the beginning of that video that will help you to understand what we are doing, okay? So please watch video number 1 first. Here we go, capitalization and punctuation. Capitalization and punctuation are like auto mechanics for your writing. They tune up your sentences and make them start, stop, and run smoothly. That is a very good analogy of why we use punctuation. So our sentences can stop, so they can start, so our writing will have continuity and fluidity. Okay, let's look at example here. The Russian ballet travels all over the world, performing to amaze audiences in each new city. This sentence jerks along like an old car driven by someone who does not know how to use the brakes. Here's the edited example. Edited means we changed it. The Russian ballet travels all over the world performing to amaze audiences in each new city. Oh, yes. Every sentence begins with a capital letter. That is the easy part. Many other words are capitalized too. However, those rules can be harder to remember. And for my language learners, it is, okay? Because we know one of the differences between English and language like Spanish, for instance, is that a lot of words in English are capitalized, whereas in Spanish, they are not. So as a part of learning the English language, you also have to learn which words are capitalized. And I am going to make a tutorial specifically for capitalization, okay? The proper use of end marks like periods, exclamation points, and question marks, and other punctuation like commas, colons, semicolons, apostrophes, and quotation marks will help your reader make sense of your words. Punctuation is also the difference between a complete sentence and a sentence fragment or run-on. I'm going to do a lesson on that. Actually, it's lesson number 2 because that one is very important to your writing, is understanding how to craft and how to actually write a sentence. Ooh. Other punctuation marks like hyphens, dashes, and ellipses give flair to your writing and should be used for function as well as style. And we're going to talk about both function and style as well. Okay, spelling. Correct spelling gives your work credibility. Not only will your reader know that you are educated, but also that you are careful about your work. Hint, hint, college applicants. You should have a dictionary handy to confirm that you have correctly spelled all unfamiliar words, especially if they are keywords in the piece. In the workplace, a memo with repeatedly misspelled words can be embarrassing. Truly, nothing is worse than misspelling. I'm telling. Okay, an essay with a misspelled word in the title or a word that is spelled incorrectly throughout the piece can affect your final grade. Yes. Avoid embarrassing situations like these by checking your spelling. Even if you know all the spelling rules by heart, you will come across exceptions to the rules. Words that come from different languages, have silent letters, or are technical terms can present problems. In addition, the spelling can change when the word is made plural. Homonyms like bear and bear or course and course can be easily confused, and can words that have unusual vowel combinations like beauty and archaeology. When in doubt, check it out by consulting a dictionary. So We use dictionaries in the class, ladies and gentlemen. We don't rely on Microsoft Spell Check. It's a good first resource, but if you're unsure about a word spelling, then please look it up in a dictionary, okay? All right, let's go ahead and talk about spell check. Spell check programs. If you use a computer, most word processing programs, so Microsoft Word is what we call a word processing program. It contains a spell check and a dictionary, so use them. Just be aware that spell check does not always provide the right answer, so double check your choices. If your spell check gives 3 suggestions, you will have to consult a dictionary for the right one. An example, he read through the entire page looking for a story on the protest march. Spell check suggests replacing through with through or thorough. The dictionary will tell you that the correct spelling is through. Choosing, because you're going through something. Okay, I don't want to get into the definition, but that's an excellent example. Choosing a suggested spelling from spell check that is incorrect in the context of your sentence can affect your entire piece, meaning you have to know the words that you are using, okay? That's why we do not use Google Translate. That's why we do not copy and paste, because the words that you are using are coming from you. They're coming from your knowledge base. So if you translate something, it's not coming from your knowledge base. Knowing something in Spanish is totally different from being able to write it in English, okay? You may have knowledge on that subject, but until you're able to express it using your own words in English, that's when you'll be able to say that you are a proficient writer, okay? All right, let's keep going. Let's see. As teachers and employers become more familiar with spell check programs, they learn to recognize when a writer has relied on spell check. For example, homonyms such as pain and pain are commonly confused words such as where, and where. They present a problem for spell check just as they do for many writers. Ultimately, there is no substitute for a dictionary and a set of trained eyes and ears. So, my language learners, we learn new words by reading, okay? Every time you read, you are committing words to your memory bank. And when you read a word at least 10 times, you should have that word memorized. And because you are looking at the correct spelling when you are reading, you are also committing to memory the way to spell that word as well. So when we make careless mistakes, that means that we're making mistakes in our reading acquisition as well. So if you are a good reader, then you can be a good writer as well. It's just a matter of taking the skills that you have and applying them to the writing process, okay? All right, let's move on. Grammar. Oh, grammar. Unfortunately, there is no grammar dictionary, but there are thousands of reliable grammar handbooks. In order to communicate in standard written English, you have to pay attention to the rules. Now, because you are language learners in my class, that's the thing that I count off the least is for grammar, because I know that that's what we are doing is learning how to speak in English, how to write in English, okay? So the grammar, I'm not because you're going to learn the grammar. You're going to learn it by experience, learn it by listening, learn it by reading. You're going to learn the grammar. So and I do teach lessons in grammar, mostly to my beginners and not more so my intermediate or advanced language learners. However, grammar is very important, okay? So please pay attention to your grammar. Let's look at this example here. Oh, wait. So in order to communicate in standard written English, you have to pay attention to the rules. You need to understand the parts of speech when you write, and you have to combine them properly. And so if you've been with me, you know that at the beginning of the year, that's the first thing that I always do is I review the parts of speech. And if you look on my YouTube channel, I'm very sure you'll find a video with the parts of speech, because everything starts with understanding in English how words fit into different categories. And so if you have not watched that video, please take a moment to watch the video titled Parts of Speech. All right, let's look at this example. The dance team felt that they had performed bad. Bad in this form is an adjective. An adjective is a part of speech, okay? So an adjective modifies a noun, okay? The word bad must be replaced by an adverb to modify the verb. Okay, let me explain that to you. So the dance team felt that they had performed bad, okay? So right now, when you use bad, it's modifying it's modifying the dance team. They perform bad, okay? But that's not what the sentence is saying. The sentence is saying that the team felt like they had performed, which is the verb, the action in the sentence. So instead of that being an adjective, which modifies a noun, it needs to be an adverb, which modifies a verb. So bad needs to be badly. Okay, so that sentence should be the dance team felt that they had performed badly. Okay, badly now is modifying or describing how the team performed. Okay, so that's that's an example of good grammar versus not so good grammar. Okay, but remember, because we are learning grammar in our class, okay, I don't really ding you on that. In fact, you rarely hear me, count off or take off for grammar. You'll probably just hear me correct it. Okay. All right, let's look at the edited example. The dance team felt that they had performed badly. One of the best ways to check for grammatical errors is to read your writing aloud. Oh my goodness. Let me read that again. One of the best ways to check for grammatical errors is to read your writing aloud. I need to say that like a million times. I just want to repeat that and put it on a loop and just have you listen to it for like hours at a time. It's okay. Let me continue reading. When you read silently, your eyes make automatic corrections, or you may skip over mistakes. I'm going to read that again because it's so true. When you read silently, your eyes make automatic corrections, or you may skip over mistakes. Your ears are not as easily fooled. However, you will catch many of your mistakes. If you are in a situation where you cannot read aloud, try whispering or mouthing the words as you read. If something does not sound right, check the grammar. It's always the grammar. That's why that little step right there, along with making a plan, okay, it can save you a lot. That's the part of revising as you go, okay? Read it out loud. Every sentence that you write, read it out loud to make sure that it sounds good. If it does not sound good, then it's probably the grammar that's in error, okay? Let's continue. Grammar check. Computers that use grammar check programs cannot find every error. Grammar check will highlight any sentence that has a potential error, and you should examine it. So in Microsoft Word, they do have a grammar check, and it's usually with the blue or the red little squiggly line, okay? When you click on it, it will give you some revisions, some suggestions. It will tell you a different word. It will give you the grammar check, okay? The program is helpful for correcting some basic grammatical issues, but it also functions in many other ways. Many grammar check programs flag sentences in the passive voice, which is a style choice. And we're going to talk about passive versus active voice. And that's for my higher level learners that are ready to take your writing to the next level. While the passive voice is not wrong, it can lead to some very flat and sometimes confusing writing. It may be a good idea to change some of the passive verbs to active ones. And so a grammar check usually does that. Many programs also highlight sentence fragments and sentences that are over 50 words long. I don't think I've written one sentence that has been over 50 words long, okay? You guys have, because you've written paragraphs and sometimes whole essays without one single period in there. Amazing. Sentence fragments are never correct grammatically, although they may be used intentionally in certain informal situations, meaning that when someone is writing an example or making a point, then it's okay to use a sentence fragment. And we're going to talk about sentence fragments and sentence run-ons, okay? Those are two errors in writing, and sometimes they can be intentional. That's what this document is telling us, okay? But you have to know the difference between when something is correct and when something is not correct, okay? And so that's why we are going to learn. It is important to remember that not only do grammar check programs sometimes point out sentences that are correct, but they also do not always catch sentences that are incorrect. That's correct. That's what you are for. An example, I have 1 pairs of pants. If you heard me laugh, then you heard the mistake in there, right? And usually when we read aloud something and we hear something that our ears don't agree with, it makes us laugh because grammar is funny. So when my newbies, that's why I love my newcomers when they speak to me, because the grammar is not right. And you'll see me smile at them. You'll see me laugh at them because it's awesome. It's a beautiful, I love language and I love grammar when it's in its work in progress stage. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's get back to this. So the edited example is, so pants. Okay. I have 1 pair of pants. Okay. Even though pants is plural, they are a pair just like shoes because they have 2. Okay. But we call it a pair, not pairs. I have 1 pair of pants. There's no substitute for understanding the rules governing grammar and careful proofreading. So there's no substitute. So Microsoft Word and Grammar Check is no substitute for you checking your writing. Editing. Once you're finished proofreading, you will probably need to cut words out of your piece in some places and add more material in other places. Yes? Repetitive words or phrases and awkward or wordy sentences can be edited. If you begin to write without an organizational plan, you may have to cut some good-sized chunks from your writing because they wander from your main idea. So we're not going to do that because we're going to use a plan, an organizational plan, before we write. You may also need to expand ideas that you did not explain fully in your first draft. Editing is about streamlining your piece. Good writing is clear, concise, and to the point. Yes, it is. Revision. Okay, so now editing, revising. Oh, we only have a few more. Let's see if we can make it under 30 minutes. Revision. Reading your writing a few times allows you to work on different aspects of your piece. Some revisions takes place as you write, and some takes place after you have read the whole piece and are able to see how it works. Most writers revise more than once, and many writers proofread and edit each draft. So, ladies and gentlemen, the revising part is not a one-time thing, okay? It's continuous. It's over and over until it is perfect, okay? If your draft has errors that make it difficult to understand, you should start by proofreading. Print out your paper, and that's why I did that. Mark it with proofreading symbols and make any necessary corrections in grammar or mechanics. Proofreading and editing can make your meaning clear, and clarity makes your piece easier to understand. Woo-hoo-hoo. Okay, moving on down to page 18. If your draft is cohesive, you can concentrate more on the big picture. Are your paragraphs in the right order? Do they make sense and work together? Are your transitions smooth and your conclusions strong? Have you avoided sounding wishy-washy or too aggressive? Is the voice too passive? Some writers prefer to think about these issues during the first reading. Others proofread, edit, and rearrange while they read the draft. It does not matter which approach you use, but plan to read each draft at least twice. Read it once focusing on the big picture and once focusing on the smaller details of the piece. Real revision is the process of transforming a piece. Yes, taking it from a rough draft to a polished piece of diamond. The results of your revisions may not look like much in your first draft at all. Even if you start with an organizational plan, it is possible that you will decide that the piece needs to be reorganized only after you have written an entire draft. That is true. Changes happen to your writing, okay? Be ready for that. If the piece is research-based, discovering new information can require a completely new treatment of the subject, meaning you might have to look at answering a different question or rewriting your thesis statement. That is a part of the revising, is making changes. If your piece is supposed to be persuasive, maybe you'll discover it is not persuasive enough. Thinking of your writing as a work in progress is the ideal approach. Writing and revising several drafts takes time. However, and time is a luxury that many writers, writing and revising several drafts takes time. However, that's a typo. Okay, so that shouldn't be there. So that "and" is what they should have edited out. So we found a mistake. So I'm going to read it without the "and." So listen to how it flows. Writing and revising several drafts takes time. However, time is a luxury that many writers do not have. See how that sounds better without the "and"? Perhaps you have a pressing due date or an important meeting. Okay, so you have a due date. All of it, you have due dates for your writing. Maybe you have a soccer match that you need to attend to. So you have other things that you have to do in addition to writing. Okay, you can still improve your writing even if it's in a short period of time, because you're going to get better at revising. Once you get into the habit of revising, then it gets easier and easier to do. So you'll be able to spot your mistakes easier. And what's most important, you'll be able to write better and need very little revision. You know what I mean? You just have to trust me on that. It's going to start off as a challenge, but it's going to get easier and easier and easier. One strategy for revising is to create an outline from your draft. This may sound like you are working backwards because usually the outline precedes the draft, meaning comes before. But even if you originally worked from an outline, this second outline can be helpful. Read your writing and summarize each paragraph with a word or short phrase. Write the summary in the margin of your draft. When you have done this for the entire piece, list the summary words or phrases on a separate sheet. If you originally worked from an outline, how do the list and outline compare? If you did not work from an outline, can you see places where reordering paragraphs might help? You may want to move 3 or 4 paragraphs and see if this improves the piece. Cut and paste editing like this is easy to do on a computer. In a word processing program, you can highlight, cut and paste sentences and whole paragraphs. So that is one of the benefits of typing your essay. If you are uneasy or afraid you may destroy your draft, you may want to choose select all and copy your work into a new blank document just so your original draft is safe and accessible. And we're going to talk about saving your work. Okay, you got to know that if you start a Microsoft document and have not saved it, and then you go and write your entire essay, and because you have not saved it, you lose it, there's pretty much not a more hurtful feeling than that feeling. I got to tell you. Okay. If you are working with a handwritten draft, making a photocopy is a good way to revise without destroying the original. Remember to double space or skip lines on the first draft to give yourself room to revise. And that's what I made a change in the font space that we are going to use for our future writings. Okay, we're going to leave enough space so that we can do our proofreading and make our revision marks. Okay. To move paragraphs, simply number them and read them in your new order. If you are working from a copy, take out your scissors and literally cut the paragraph into pieces. Now, that's what we did when I was in school because we didn't have computers, okay? So our paragraphs, we actually cut them up, okay? And then we would rearrange them like that. Instead of using glue or paste, use tape or thumbtack the pieces to a bulletin board. That way you can continue to move the pieces around until they are in order or until they are in the order that best works for you. No matter how you approach revising, it is a valuable part of the writing process. Do not be afraid to rearrange whole paragraphs and fine-tune your tone, voice, and style as you revise. All right, so, wow, there's still a lot more to go. All right, we're in 25 minutes of this video, so I am going to stop it here, and I am going to make a third video for this first lesson, okay? Thanks, guys.